Cooper Flagg, without a doubt, is going to be the X factor for the Dallas Mavericks this coming season. With Kyrie Irving out to start the year, it puts a massive amount of responsibility onto the rookie's shoulders. Honestly, at first, I thought Dallas might go through some real growing pains early on. It's a lot to ask for any rookie, let alone someone stepping into this kind of spotlight so quickly. But after watching what Cooper's been doing through these preseason games, I've gone from cautious to genuinely optimistic about what this team could accomplish if he keeps playing at this level, because Cooper Flagg looks like he's more than ready for the moment. But for Coop to truly meet the moment, there are three big areas where if he can become really strong early on, it could completely change the ceiling of this Mavericks team. And the first one is maybe the most important one right now: his ability to take on real point guard responsibilities. With Kyrie Irving out, Dallas desperately needs somebody to handle the ball, create advantages, and get guys open. That playmaking burden is going to fall onto a mix of Klay Thompson, D'Angelo Russell, and Cooper Flagg. And from the second he was drafted, head coach Jason Kidd made it really clear that he wants to test the rookie right away. This isn't new. In fact, Jason Kidd has done this before. Back in Milwaukee, he put the ball in Giannis Antetokounmpo's hands and basically made him the point guard for that team. That kind of challenge really helped Giannis to shape his career into the player he is today. And now, Jason Kidd is looking to do the same with Coop, putting him into uncomfortable situations, seeing how far he can really stretch his game. And the crazy part about all of this is how it's already working. Right from the first possession of preseason, Cooper Flagg has looked in control. Here, he makes a smart read, perfectly timing a drop-off pass to Derek Lively for an easy two-handed stuff. A few minutes later, he drew three Thunder defenders, faked the jumper, and then dropped it off to Dwight Powell. And just look at this on the replay. That is a beautiful pass. Then in the second quarter, he pushes the ball in transition and was able to hit a cutting PJ Washington for the foul and one. That's exactly the kind of play Kidd wants to build this team around. Get out and run, let Cooper be the decision maker, and that allows Dallas to put real pressure on the rim with all the size they have. But what makes this so dangerous is the versatility. He isn't making just drop-off passes, as here, he's able to draw in the defense and then find an open Klay Thompson wide open in the corner for three. Then moments later, he throws the alley-oop upstairs for Anthony Davis. I mean, these are the kinds of reads and passes that not only give Dallas a lot of flexibility, but it's also not typical of a rookie. But Cooper Flagg appears to be defying the odds. But the best part about all of this is how it isn't just a temporary role. Even when Kyrie Irving returns, having Coop as a reliable secondary initiator gives the Mavericks a whole new offensive dimension. When teams try and trap Kyrie, Coop can keep the offense flowing, running sets and creating for others. And when Kyrie's off the floor, he, in theory, could be able to run the show himself. That's the kind of skill set that can completely change a team's outlook. And for Dallas, it might be what turns them from pretty good into something genuinely dangerous. Now, the second big area where Cooper Flagg can have an early impact is on the defensive side of the floor. And honestly, it's probably the part of his game I'm the least worried about. This has always been his bread and butter. Going back to his college days, defense was the one skill everyone was confident would translate to the NBA. And through the first couple of preseason games, we've already seen those flashes. The kinds of plays that make you go, oh yeah, this guy just gets it. Right on the very first play of the Mavericks preseason, he sent a message. Coop came over from the weak side and swatted Isaiah Joe's shot at the rim, turning it into a fast break play where D'Lo finds Anthony Davis upstairs on the alley-oop finish. That's exactly the kind of role he can thrive in defensively. He's not going to be the traditional rim protector, and that isn't what Dallas is asking him to do. What Coop is going to be great at is providing that weak side help where he's able to read plays, time his rotations, and then use his length to disrupt things, fitting in perfectly next to guys like AD, Gafford, and Lively. That front court is going to be massive, and Cooper's ability to play off of that size is going to be a really nice luxury for Dallas. And it isn't just about the blocks either. He's already showing just how smart he can be in the passing lanes too, as here he jumps in front of the pass intended for Mason Plumlee, instantly turning it into an easy drop-off pass for Dwight Powell down the other way on the break. Plays like this is exactly what Dallas are going to lean into, likely utilizing more aggressive defensive schemes and allowing Coop and even Anthony Davis to make these aggressive reads, because they've got the backline help of Gafford and Lively behind. The truth is, because of all of this defensive depth that the Dallas Mavericks have, this might actually be the least critical thing that Cooper needs to master right away. But it's also the thing he's naturally equipped to excel at. So while the playmaking and shooting might take some time to grow, this defensive impact is something Dallas can count on probably from day one. And that makes everything else around him a lot easier to build. But as I just alluded to, the third key thing for Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks this season is pretty simple. He's got to be able to score the basketball. This is what can take everything to another level. It's not just about putting up points for the sake of it, because the Mavericks don't exactly have a ton of offensive creators right now. So honestly, they need him to be a legitimate scoring threat. But even more than that, if he can't keep defenses honest, then that playmaking we've been talking about could also take a big hit. In that first preseason game against Oklahoma City, defenders were collapsing on him when he attacked the lane, and that was able to open up all of those beautiful passing angles that we've already broke down. But that only works long term if he can consistently punish teams by scoring when they don't send help. And so far, it looks like he's able to do that too. Cooper Flagg's scoring has already been really good in the preseason. Here, out on the break, he was able to use his handle to get into the lane, where he then contorts his body around the defender to finish at the basket. Here in the half court, he stepped confidently into a three off a PJ Washington screen and drilled it. A few possessions later, coming off an AD screen, he pulls up yet again. Cash. Those are the kinds of rhythm shots that, when you combine with his playmaking, make him an incredibly difficult cover. And it did not stop there. In the second preseason game, he really started to show off the bag. Coming off a Derek Lively screen, he calmly pulled up and drained another three. Then, following a Washington block, Flagg sprints the floor, fills the lane, and then threw down a lob from D'Angelo Russell. Just a textbook transition from Dallas. He's already showing he can attack mismatches too. Here, one-on-one against LaMelo Ball, he was able to get into his bag and knock down a smooth, highlight-worthy mid-range jumper. Then, he goes right at Miles Bridges, fading away for another tough long two. Those are confident, veteran-type shots. And when you sprinkle those in with everything else he's already doing, it could give Dallas a completely different kind of weapon this season. When you stack all three pillars, the defense, the playmaking, and now this scoring punch, you start to see just how special things could get for Dallas basically right out of the gates. This isn't a maybe 2 years down the line kind of rookie. He's already earning trust on both ends of the floor. And with the kind of talent Dallas already have around him, it's clear that they are trying to win right now. If they're going to make any serious noise in the playoffs, it's clear that Cooper is going to be a big part of it. Honestly, with everything he has shown so far, I would be penciling him in for the Rookie of the Year because he genuinely looks that good. Yes, the first game was against the Thunder's second and third unit guys, but the reads he was making were just next level for someone this young. And then against the Hornets, going one-on-one and creating buckets the way he did, that's not just impressive, that's special. So, what does all of this actually mean for the Dallas Mavericks this season? And how good can this team realistically be? Honestly, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I genuinely believe that the Mavericks are one of the most underrated teams coming into this year. The defense alone gives them a foundation to be dangerous. In my mind, they should be at least top 10 on that side of the floor at worst, and there's a legitimate path to be top 3 too. They're just massive across the board. but still mobile enough to switch and potentially cover some ground. You look at Anthony Davis. His defensive skill set has carried teams before. For years, he was basically the only guy holding the Lakers as a mediocre defense, pretty much acting as their entire system. He can protect the rim, guard one-on-one, and even switch out to smaller guards on the perimeter. But with the Lakers, they needed him at the basket basically at all times, not allowing him to tap into the defensive playmaking that he does possess. But now with the Mavericks, sliding him over to the 4 instead of the 5 could really free him up to be even more versatile. He can take more risks, play more aggressively, and really lean into that defensive playmaking because there now will be a rim protector behind him. That's the kind of a setup that can turn an elite defender into an absolute game wrecker. And then you've got all the depth. This roster might quietly be one of the deepest in the league. Off the bench, you've got guys like Washington, Christie, Marshall, and even Daniel Gafford, all of which can easily start on a bunch of teams in this league. Instead, they're coming off the bench for Dallas. And that's what really makes this defensive identity so scary. Even when the starters are sitting, they could realistically keep that length and defensive intensity out there on the floor at all times. And once this team gets healthy, just look at the starting 5. Kyrie Irving at the 1, Klay Thompson at the 2, Cooper Flagg at the 3, Anthony Davis at the 4, and Derek Lively at the 5. That is a seriously good lineup. It's not hard to imagine this team having a similar trajectory as the Clippers run last season, but potentially having some more success in the playoffs. Remember last year when Kawhi Leonard didn't come back until mid-season, and then suddenly the Los Angeles Clippers looked like a completely different team to close the regular season. Well, with Kyrie Irving in a similar situation as to what Kawhi Leonard was dealing with last year, I think the Mavericks could follow this same blueprint. If they could establish themselves as one of the best defensive teams in the league before Kyrie returns, and then when Irving does come back, hopefully giving you 80 to 85% of the guy who he was last season, then this team could become a major problem overnight. And let's not forget just how good Kyrie Irving was over the last couple of seasons. Over 108 games with Dallas over the past 2 years, he put up 25.2 points, 4.9 rebounds and assists, along with 1.3 steals per game on elite efficiency, 41% from 3, and 56% effective field goal shooting. There's a real argument to be made that the past 2 seasons from Kyrie Irving were the best regular seasons of his career. So, even if he comes back and isn't quite at that level, let's say he gives you about 20 points per game on slightly worse efficiency, that might still be good enough, just depending on how good a year 1 Cooper Flagg truly is. For those reasons, Dallas are one of 6 teams that I believe is going to be a lot better than people realize this season. And if you want to see the full breakdown of the other 5 teams that I believe are being heavily underrated coming into this season, then you can watch that full breakdown video right here.